Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to part 2 of this edition of Real Talk, where we're talking about the Asian, the Muslim community in particular, and the narrative that is going around at the moment in this country that we've seen over the last few weeks, particularly the last 6 or 7 weeks, and more so since the attack in Southport about the contribution of the Muslim community, and now the rise of reform, which is basically attacking immigrants who came here, even those whose children have been born here after 60 years of being in this country. And I mean, somebody like Salim, who's my guest today, he was born here and he's past 60, as he was saying, but he doesn't look it. Even people like them are being attacked for not being good citizens in the UK or questioning their loyalty to the United Kingdom. And his family have been instrumental in setting up businesses, providing employment to lots of people, and contributing to the economy of this country over the last 50, 60 years. Yet we still see the narrative being pushed forward by people like Nigel Farage and others as that we are a threat to the nation, the United Kingdom, so to speak. Now, we've been speaking about some of the work that Salim is doing in the past. He's been very actively involved with a lot of organizations in Bradford, from the Chamber of Commerce to the Rotary Club to other organizations as well. However, we're still seeing this narrative being promoted and pushed. And one of the questions that I've asked him before is, have got to take more responsibility of controlling the narrative? And he agrees with me. And we know for a fact that the Muslim community is one of the most generous communities when it comes to giving to those who are the most vulnerable. And that includes people in this country as well. Although in the past, most of our money has been going abroad to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Africa, and places like that, where obviously it's needed. But also we've seen over the last few years that more and more people are more conscious of the people in our country, in this part of the world, where there is a need to support those who are vulnerable. So Salim, I know we spoke very briefly about your project that you're working on, and that is to take control of the narrative, to say to people within Bradford and surrounding areas, nobody's going to listen, nobody's going to promote what we're doing. And we've seen this from the media as well. So we need to take control of what we're doing, the positive work we're doing. And that's why you're looking to set up some ambassadors, people who will go out there and talk about the positive work that is happening in Bradford. Now, what sort of people are you targeting?
It will include my experience, obviously being an entrepreneur, being involved in business. A large portion of it will be business people, but it will actually extend out to also professionals, even ordinary employees who are part of the fibre of the UK economy. Because the audience that we're talking about, which I mentioned earlier, that the audience is the people within Bradford who basically have a very low esteem of the city. The next generation who needs to hear the story about how their families, these brands that are around, what they've seen for so many years, how they came with nothing to the UK, how their intentions initially were to come here, work for a short period, go back home, how these people have actually created phenomenal businesses, contribute in such a big way. Now, as you say, are also contributing to local charities, to local causes, and are part of the community. They need to also know, the city, the population in Bradford needs to know, they need to know what they've got to be proud of, because there's a huge embarrassment. A lot of times, I mean, I laugh about this, but it's actually quite a serious matter. I've seen children in Bradford who write Leeds on their Facebook page instead of Bradford. They need a reason to be proud. They need to understand that, the achievements and the success have come through lots of hard work. And the fact that it's achievable by others. There's examples of so many businesses that have developed over the last 10 years. For example, Bradford is such an entrepreneurial city. We've got so much to be proud of. There's examples of products that are made in Bradford that I was sat next to somebody in the chamber the other day. And that wasn't necessarily a migrant company, it was another Belgian-based company. And he was telling the group, the leadership group at the chamber, that his product goes into 80% of the world's aircrafts.
Wow.
Bradford, made in Bradford, There are other brands that I know about that actually do the same. Regal Foods supplies all over the world. So, it's time now to take control of the narrative. I've worked on various boards, I've worked on various initiatives. And a lot of these are box ticking exercises. they don't have the same agenda that people like myself would have. So I think now it's time to take control of that, to explain to the community how important it is to get your message out there. There's areas of the UK where there's hardly any Asians. There's sometimes the only experience they get of the Asian community is what they read in the press. The right-wing press obviously gives us a very low opinion of what we do and so they're not going to tell our story. We have to tell our story. So the ambassadors that we're looking to promote and engage and appoint will be people from the business community, will be people from the professional community, will include lawyers, will include accountants, will include even nurses that contribute to the NHS. And these people will tell their story. They'll tell them what they do and how they contribute. So we're not just talking about awards. We're not just talking about clapping and saying these people are so good.
These are real people doing real stuff. Yeah.
We will actually put on them responsibility as well. A responsibility.
Now, do you feel that there are people now willing and able to do this? Because I know in the past, lots of initiatives have been sort of attempted to develop role models, right, for people from our community who are successful to actually go out, particularly into schools, and show young people how they have managed to get to where they are. It's either businesses or professionals, doctors, dentists, accountants, lawyers, so they can go and motivate young kids in schools that, if they worked as hard as well, they could achieve this as well. Because you get this feeling that young people have resigned to failure. And that's why I think a lot of young people are embarrassed to say where they're from. Do you get that feeling as well?
Well, I've had many conversations with a lot of the people I've known over the years who are in business, and I've discussed my ideas with them for many years. On a one-to-one basis, everybody gets excited by the thought and the idea. The problem is, most people are busy just running their lives and doing what they do. They don't really know the path to get this delivered. Now, you were at the event the other evening. The feedback I got from the event and even the excitement on the day, you saw how people were when they heard about how they can enroll with the mentoring program, how they can become ambassadors. And the feedback form that we issued on the day, the majority of people ticked the ambassador box. They wanted to be part of that program. A lot of people wanted to be part of Rotary. They didn't really know what Rotary was. People have the desire. And I think now with the current situation, and now after how I explained in the meeting what we're trying to achieve and the reasons behind the initiative, I think they understand it's not just another award ceremony awarding people, half a dozen people awards. It's not just about that. It's about not only giving them the ambassador status, but more so to put responsibility on them and actually show them the power of what they can do, how they can change the lives of the next generation and guide them on the right track. But also be a representative voice of the community and have a voice, because when we have issues, we're very scattered in our conversation. We need politicians in there as well. This will also be politically led, where we'll be united as a voice, and when Bradford and Leeds and Yorkshire stand up and speak, we will show what success looks like. We will show what our contribution is. It won't be one person, it'll be a crowd of people standing together and saying, this is what we are. This is what we are, the community. Please don't misrepresent us. We're now going to speak up for ourselves.
Now, obviously, when I was there, and I was quite impressed with the event, and obviously the speakers who were there as well, and there were quite a lot of Muslim women as well, and others who were some of the speakers who relayed their story as well about how they started from nothing to where they are now, and that is something that we need to be proud of. But obviously, it is one of the challenges that we face at the moment. And as I asked you before during the break, do you feel that people who are running these businesses now, or who are in positions of influence, like yourself and others, whether they're businesses or whether they're working in the civil service, or whether they're working, like you say, nurses in hospitals or wherever it is, that they're now much more willing to do things? Because, as I say, in the past, there have been attempts to try and to actually recruit role models. And I know I've tried to do that in the past as well, for people to go into schools in particular and stand there and talk about their journey, like you've done today, about where your father came from and your mother came from, and the hard work that they put in which led to you running a multi-million pound business. And everybody's story is like that. You mentioned, Adams Foods, which started off from a little corner shop,
Absolutely.
to is now part of a huge conglomerate.
Amazing family. Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Best Ways, which is somebody was telling me is about £4 billion
Yeah,
a year turnover. It's a
totally, that's
massive,
right.
massive achievement.
Absolutely.
But I've always found that apne log hai na, they're reluctant to go out there for some. I don't know for why. I mean,
But you got to imagine they've tried to be part of various groups in the past, and sometimes the past, some of our groups haven't been the best examples. There's a lot of politics running in there. There's a lot of positioning. Who wants to be in charge? Who wants to run the organisation? And I think some of these things have led to failures in the past. But I think there's a sincere requirement now because of the current state of affairs, and also don't forget there's a lot of young people involved in the businesses now. So within our business also, I've got the next generation who are also very, very much keen and eager. There's abilities which are also available within larger the businesses. There's more people within the organisation, managers, other members of the family, and I think there'll be more acceptance to the fact that they've got to take responsibility. And some of the initiatives that are now available, for example, the Yorkshire Champions Group, they make it very easy. They'll send you an email on a weekly basis. You can either opt in and sign, say, yes, I'm available that morning, I'll come along for 30 minutes. Or you don't have to do anything for a year. You can do it once a year. You can do it once every week if you're that keen. And it's very easy. It's
so this is Yorkshire Champions, is it?
Yorkshire Champions Group, which is obviously an initiative that the lady spoke on the evening. She's the Jilanul, who's the...
one of my DL colleagues.
Absolutely, and she's a magistrate. She's obviously been the chair of the magistrates for many years. But again, keen to see, when she sees the results of children falling into bad company or into wrong lines, she wants to try and go back and correct some of that for the next generations. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for our people also to get involved, because we have a huge responsibility for our future generations, and we have to guide them. We have to be show good role models in front of them, and actually give them an opportunity to look at other people like ourselves and other professionals, entrepreneurs, and say, look, you can achieve what I've achieved, and this is what I did. Focus on your education, focus on this. And these mentors can be there for the next generation to get inspired. Mock interviews, for example, that's a fantastic initiative that I've attended on a few occasions. A room full of maybe 30 desks, and a child comes in front of you and you pretend to run a mock interview. Great confidence for the child. And some of the children there, they were just unbelievable, the level of confidence, because of through these initiatives, what the value they've received from that is tremendous.
Right.
Very rewarding. I walk out of there thinking, and the reality is you do this you do it for the Almighty, and obviously it's very rewarding individually as well to do that.
Well, I'm sure it gives you a lot of sort of satisfaction, I'm sure, when you see young people. And one of the challenges, particularly in a community like ours, which is one of the youngest sort of populations in the United Kingdom, we know that the chances of young people going astray, the pull outside to doing antisocial behaviour is quite strong.
Definitely.
And there's a huge challenge in our community to try and rein that back. And I know there's lots of initiatives going forward. What would you like to see happen in the next 6 months, for example?
We will have a huge number of videos going out, stories. Inshallah, that's the program to sell the stories out. We will be doing lots of one-to-ones and lots of events like you came to the other day. Again, engaging more of the community on a one-to-one basis. I'll be speaking to some of the entrepreneurs, some of the businesses, some of the professionals, and we'll be gearing up to actually creating our team of ambassadors. We'll be bringing the change. You will see that happening. It will take time, but every time I speak to somebody, they get very inspired by it. We have to keep that feeling going with everybody and show them that we can bring a change.
What about the politicians? Bradford is blessed with a lot of politicians from a lot of sort of different political parties.
Yeah.
How engaged are those politicians? I know when Ahida was there that evening, she chaired the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I presume she came in her personal capacity, not in her capacity as a politician.
Absolutely.
Right?
For me, I was Conservative. I was Deputy Chair of Bradford Conservative Association for 6 years. I don't have a political affiliation in terms of for my beliefs. I think, you know, I have many Labour Party MPs that I work with local councillors. For me, the important thing is actually the results. Politics is not the importance. But where you have unity, I think we'll be able to get the results. And, you know, I'm meeting I have an appointment with one of the our local councillors on Wednesday. We're meeting him again, discussing the same challenge and the same initiative. And we're looking to engage and allow these people to put their politics aside. It doesn't matter what party you belong to. The important things, we're Bradfordians, we're part of Yorkshire, we're part of, we're Muslims. You know, that's the important thing for us in this specific capacity. And it's about, again, getting them on board, because without political power, you can't bring the changes that you need to bring in. And so I think, as I said earlier, it's not just business people, it's not just professionals, but the politicians as well. And I think once they hear, and once they do hear what we're having to say and what our plan is, they will all get on board.
Inshallah. I mean, I know my viewers know my views about some of the politics that goes on in places like Bradford, where I have a lot of questions about the sincerity of the politician when it comes to the wider Muslim community, because there seems that their loyalties lie to the party rather than the community itself. But, you know, obviously, and we've talked about the need for, people like Ishtiaq and Amjad and others, we spoke about, you know, these are Bradford sort of people through and through, who said, you know, we need to make sure that we put the right people into these positions so they can represent the community in a much better light than they are doing at the moment. And I'm sure there's some good politicians as well, in fact all of them are, but I think they need to realize that the responsibility they take is absolutely vital. Now, in terms of obviously your business, may Allah give you more strength in your business, but are you targeting some of the young people as well to become ambassadors, those who are the movers and shakers?
Absolutely. So, for example, within my own family, my own sons are going to be involved. They were obviously speaking on the evening as well, because obviously he's a social media chap. So,
I'm hoping to bring him on my program one day.
Sure. Very inspired. I mean, when you hear the next generation, they also realize the current situation. They realize that they also have some responsibility. I mean, definitely there'll be combination, not just the older people, but within the organizations, the next generations that are part of the businesses, part of the community, they all have to be involved.
Okay, that's fantastic, and Allah give you strength in help you bring about the change that you want to bring, because as I said at the beginning and before we went through the break, this is something that is really challenging to our community. At the moment we are going through, as the Chinese proverb says, may you live in interesting times. Some people say it's a curse. We are living in very challenging times at the moment, and unless we up our game and unless we change the narrative ourselves, nobody else is going to help change that narrative at all, because there's an old saying that those who control the media control the narrative of the community. So we need to get more and more of our people involved in the media, and more people challenging the stuff that those who are trying to sow the seeds of hate and discontent in our communities, that we challenge them as well. Salim, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving your time. As I say, Allah give you the strength. And I would urge the people of Bradford in particular to listen to, go and talk to Salim and listen to what he's got to say and sign up to what he is trying to do, because unless you do so, unless you become part of the ambassadors and the champions of West Yorkshire, we are going to be struggling for a long time to come. May Allah be with you. Take care. Please make dua for our brothers and sisters in Gaza and Palestine as well. Inshallah, I'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.